right, I think we will kickstart anyway. Good morning, everybody. And if it's the first time for you to use this platform, you can see you're in a very cool virtual space. You can teleport yourself around the table. So if you just move your mouse to different table and click, then you can teleport yourself there. The cool thing here is that if you're sitting in one of the table, you can only talk and listen to the people who sit together with you. So you can teleport yourself and then you can talk around in the table. And if you're not happy with your avatar's hairstyle, you can click room and then click yourself, click your name, and then click your avatar. Then you can change your outfit. I hope you enjoy this. We're gonna start with a short introduction, and then we will go straight into the conversation of today. After the conversation, we will have a Q&A session where you can ask questions. I will ask you to raise your hand. You can click your emoji at the right-hand side like this. And feel free to play around with it. You can throw hearts around, you can clap, you can laugh. And if you think we said something super smart, you can give us a thumb up. And well, if it's too early for you, you can obviously do this. Yeah. So after the Q&A session, we will have the room open for everybody. So you can stick around and talk to each other in the table. Me and Virpi, the speaker, we will also join you in the table for a while. So there is some networking time there. Great. So good morning, everybody. My name is Vicky. I'm the head of program and community at the Shortcut. If you haven't heard about what is Shortcut, I'm here to tell you. So we are a place for social and professional integration in Finland, and we support our community in securing meaningful work or starting their own business. And how we do this? So we do this by offering free training programs and workshop like this, and we also have a co-working space in the city center of Helsinki. Obviously now the office is closed due to COVID-19, but we hope that we'll be opening our door to the people soon. And all our trainings and workshops and events are for free, and you can follow us on our social media, on our LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. We have all our updates there. This online breakfast is a bi-weekly event, and in the future we will also have more different kind of events and training programs. And today we have our special guest, Virpi. She actually just joined our team at the Shortcut, and she's our new career coach. So Virpi, please introduce yourself, your past experience, and what does a career coach do?
Okay. Hi, everybody, and good morning. So this is my first event here in the room key. So cool to see everybody in the virtual environment. And I have just joined the Shortcut 2 weeks ago. Time has flown so much that it's been it's been quite a fast ride to get started. But yeah, so in a nutshell, I'm a career coach and HR and entrepreneur, to put it in a nutshell. And in the past, I've been recruiting during over 10 years, doing international HR, recruitment, talent acquisition. Then I've started my own business in the career coaching, have been as an entrepreneur, freelancer, doing all kinds of interesting gigs. And what has been common in my career in the years is that I've been very much working with technology companies, startups, high growth companies, gaming companies, and technology. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell. And now I'm as a career coach at Shortcut, so helping people to orient, navigate in the finding their job or whatever career direction they are heading to, and I also help them to find that out. So that's a brief introduction of me.
Well, thank you, and welcome to the team and to the stage. So, so you explain so you help people to like navigate their career path and like find their meaningful work. But is there how do you practically do that? Do you meet with them? Do you look at their CV? What's the few main things that you do?
Yeah, actually, most often the people that I work with, and we are part of this Työsib program, which is one program that helps especially long-term unemployed people to help them get back to work or start their own business. So what we usually actually do with the clients is clarifying, first of all, the direction. So before we can jump into updating the CVs, it makes sense to have a clear vision of what is the direction where one wants to go. And that's not always, I mean, most of the people actually don't know that clearly. So it's okay to be feeling like that. So it's like a very common situation. And then we're here to help to find out what would be the direction, and based on your own strengths and desires, we help to build that path. And once the direction is clear, then we can start looking at the CVs and LinkedIn and all the applications to match what is needed for that direction where we want to go.
Okay, so this sounds super practical, and also I think for me it sounds already kind of building the career strategy. So let's get straight into the topic today. What is a career strategy, and why should I or everybody have one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think it's, we can call it a strategy, we can call it a path, we can call it career development plan, we can call it even a dream map or whatever. But the common thing there is thinking what is important for you in life. Because work is just one aspect of life. So I like to kind of keep that in mind when we are planning our career. So it's kind of part of the overall life plan, like what kind of life do you want to have, building also sustainable well-being, a job where you feel good about, and where you can use your strength areas and be happy of what you're doing. So this is kind of the background of all the philosophy that I have when I help people to plan their careers. So the strategic thinking basically there just means that so it means that you have an ultimate vision about what kind of job would be an ideal job for you. And then we start building strategic steps towards that. So I get sometimes questioned like when I talk about dream job or ideal job, and I know that if you are in a situation, I've been unemployed also. So if you don't have a job, like whether to think about should I just get any job or should I go for the dream job? So I get a lot of discussions around this, and I always encourage people to think like long-term plan. But then so long-term plan towards your dream job, your ideal job, when you start knowing what that is. But then it might take steps to get there. So there might be several steps that you're building towards it. But once you know that ultimate goal that you have, it will help you make those small steps also towards that. And that's kind of where the strategic thinking comes. So what kind of steps do you need to take in order to get where you want to go? So briefly put, that's what the career strategy can be. And then there's many ways how to do it. So and it can also be changing. So if it might change based on your life situation. So what are you looking for right now might be different than what it might be in the future. But it's like a continuous journey, and I think what it is not, because I always also like to make us think like, what is it that I don't want to do? So what also is that career strategy is not, it's not like a ladder that you just climb. So the job market, our lives and all the situation is a lot more, versatile.
Like a jungle.
Yeah, it's more like a jungle. So I more would like to metaphor of a labyrinth or a path, or sometimes we might feel like we're stuck in a labyrinth, but then you just have to go a different direction, open another door and see where that leads. But having that ultimate goal, that's kind of the strategic thinking behind it. It will even unconsciously guide you towards that dream job.
Yeah, that's true, because I think the way you say that is not a ladder and you just simply climb, because it simply is not, and it really is more kind of like navigating a maze or jungle. And I think it's really interesting to kind of figure out, because like what you say, because I also have been unemployed and have done a lot of different jobs, and many of them are definitely not my dream job, but something that like at that point I'm like, well, I actually just need to do something. And I believe many people have the same experience.
Yeah.
So like how do I build my career strategies? There are some what would be like the few steps and then the important things to consider when I'm making one? Like after I write down like my ultimate dream job, and then what do I do I somehow like reverse logic or something? How do I put out the step for myself?
Yes, I can first or give some background for this. I can share a bit of my unusual story here of how I was first exploring different kinds of paths, and then how I started to think strategically, which made the big change in my case. And then I can give the steps that I recommend that can be used. So kind of approaching it from own perspective, I never thought that I would be an entrepreneur, and this is like the most typical cliche that all entrepreneurs say. But then when looking back in the past, there were signs that were kind of out there, that if I would have been reading those, there would have been something to explore. My first job, or let's say a proof of being an entrepreneur, was actually I was a baby with my dad selling berries at the Kauppatori in Helsinki. So I always I'm coming from an entrepreneurial family, and then have been growing all life in that kind of environment. That my parents had a farm. They lived or still live 70 kilometers from Helsinki, and in the farm, then whatever job was there, my parents were kind of encouraging that I got, for example, 50 pennies at that time when we still had markka for giving water to the animals or washing windows or whatever. So kind of that mentality was coming from the childhood, and but then kind of jumping further to the high school times, or in the 9th grade, we made this typical career counseling that was offered for when I was 15 or so. And I was supposed to be police based on that. So again, like what? But then looking back, I think that the aspects that were kind of correct there were that I'm a very strong believer of values and what is right and wrong, and for me it's important to be in a place where those things happen, or things happen in a right way. So that's something that I think that the police profession, I never became a police, and I don't think I would fit into that role, but somehow those things that have kind of red line from the past can afterwards be visible. Then actually from high school I was applying to be a teacher, a primary school teacher. And I still remember that I didn't get in. I applied to Turku and I didn't get in, and I still remember the bittersweet points that I was 0.838 or something out. So the first person left out from the from becoming a teacher. But hey, then as my backup plan, I had business studies. So that's when I then started to orient to the business side. And then kind of thinking back again, like what was the driver that was interesting for me in the teaching was something that I wanted to help and guide and support people. So that's something that was the key thing that was driving me there as well. And then I started to get excited of the business studies. I moved to Helsinki, and I actually started in marketing side because I was thinking that okay, that sounds interesting. I wasn't quite sure what to do, what was the most interesting. So I thought I'll just test that out. And then I got interested on HR, and while I was studying actually to become a tradenomi in the bachelor, I decided to go to the Helsinki Economic School or the university, and I actually got in, but I didn't get the place, the international line, because my boyfriend had just moved from Tampere to Helsinki. So I didn't get the place, or I didn't accept the place because of that. So yeah, life happens sometimes. So, but that made me realize that HR is the direction where I really want to go. So that was like the first big change there, that I realized that HR is what I want to do, that helping people succeed and helping them to do business is what I would like to do. And then I started to have more strategic moves. So this was kind of a different in my past career. So before that, I had been exploring things. I was testing like what could be the path for me, what not. But then from there, it started to get clear. And after that, I have been taking a bit risky steps also, but like conscious risks of taking steps towards that direction where I wanted to go. So for example, I got a job as a team assistant, and it was a permanent job, and I was a few years there, but I really wanted to get to the HR. So I left the permanent job and took a fixed term HR assistant job. So I was able to get my feet inside that area. And then from there onwards, started growing in the role towards that direction. And this was kind of the background, how I see that the strategy. So only when you have that direction clear, you can start thinking like those moves, and taking a bit of risk at some point also when it makes sense. But then building, like if there was a job that was not directly related to that, but I thought that okay, this is when I do this job well, then I will get the recommendations, I will be noticed, I will get the promoted, or it's a way to build your career then. So doing any job well can always result into some new opportunities. And so those were kind of the big strategy directions there. And then when I was already in the dream job, then I got on maternity leave, and meanwhile then my husband got into YT negotiations and lost his job in Finland, and then life brought us to Spain. And then I had to start from all over again in totally new environment. So I had to leave my great job at Rovio. I was there helping the Hatch department, their HR, and I was having a place to return, but then eventually it seemed like, okay, we're gonna stay in Spain for now. So starting from all over, what am I gonna do? There was no HR jobs at all in Spain, and in the area where we wanted to be in Alicante. And then I just started to think, okay, what can I do? And entrepreneurship came along. And then 2 years before I would have even needed to do that decision, like the final decision of whether we're going back to Finland to that job that I had waiting there, I started to already build a backup plan. So I started my own career coaching business, and I thought that I'll use my strengths there. So what people have been, when they heard that I'm a recruiter, so they asked for help with their CVs, and it kind of started building there. I started to look like who are the key interesting companies in the neighborhood, and started to network with them already years before I had like even thinking that I would need that. And started to have kind of connecting with people with common thoughts, and always more like offering help, sharing thoughts, kind of collaboration, network building. And that then lead into a client who then contacted me that, hey, that you have started as an entrepreneur, that we would be interested to get you as a freelancer, and that's how it started. Then I've also been exploring more business side, operational sales side, but that's something that I have to say that that's not for me. So that made me then make another strategic move, and I left my last job and wanted to get back to what I really want to do, which is now here in Shortcut and job as a career coach. So it has been a long path, but after doing those strategic moves and how to really get to where you want, the key has been first knowing where you want to go. And I can also share some tips on how can you clarify that. But firstly, spending some time, like what is important for you? What kind of job do you want to have? What kind of work-life balance also? What kind of pace of work and everything, what you enjoy doing and what you don't enjoy doing. So being also open about that. And you can also do like self questionnaires. So there is there's probably thousands of self questionnaires how you can identify your strengths, but simple ways can be making a list of the things where you have been succeeding well, where you have been doing a good job or getting good feedback, asking your friends or colleagues or teammates of what you're good at. And once, the second step would be that once you know where, what is the direction where you want to go, that you can start looking for sample jobs. And I think this is something that instead of looking at the titles and exact roles, try to think more based on your own skills. So what are those strength areas that you want to focus on in your career and in your next job? And then look for those skills. So where are those skills needed? So that might open up your scope for the jobs as well. And try to look like when you find a suitable job, like what is the education needed? What are what kind of background do those people who are in this role already have? So in LinkedIn, for example, and where do these jobs exist? And is there a lot of those? How is the demand? So all this can be part of that kind of background analysis. And then the third step would be checking what are the requirements and the skills needed. And you can then make a self-evaluation of which ones of those you already have, and which can then be your strengths in the applications. And also then the other side, so which do you think that you would still need and you would need to develop. And from there you can start building those path steps that you need in order to get there. And it can be long-term plan or it can be short-term plan, but those are the key first steps to start building this strategy.
Awesome. Thanks. Your experience sounds really cool. And I think I also have like a little bit similar path that I've been, my way of finding what I want to do is really kind of just doing everything, and then trying to kind of feel and then figure out if this is for me or not. I have a question that like you say you have this, like once you know the direction, then you can take a little bit risky move. For example, like maybe leaving the job that you don't really like, but it's in a way more stable, and then taking some maybe internship or fixed term, little bit kind of downgrade it a bit, just because you want to move to that direction. And I think many people all have the same experience, that at some point of life we have to do some kind of jobs that we just don't enjoy that much, but it brings the bread to the table. And what is your advice on these? Because I think sometimes it gets a little bit stable. Let's say I really don't enjoy being a salesperson in a shop, and then but it's like in a way stable. It's like okay. Like, would you advise to have some kind of limit or kind of a deadline? Like, okay, I'm going to be here for that's what I did for myself. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be here maximum 1 year, and then like I let myself to be here for maximum 1 year, and then I have to move on somewhere.
I think it's unrealistic to kind of plans, because your economic situation. So I mean, we all gotta eat, we all gotta pay our rents, and we just need to do sometimes what we need to do in order to survive. But while you are doing another job on the side, you can actively continue building that path. So I was in Stockmann. In Hullutpäivät, I was doing the grocery bags and at the cashier when I was studying. Then I was in another charity work back at those times, while I was still building my career towards the HR. So, of course, I mean, we all gotta survive somehow and get the rents paid and everything. So I think it's good that you have like long-term plan, and you make like a plan in such a way that, okay, in a few years I will be here. And then you start thinking, okay, what needs to happen for that to become reality? So what do I need to do this year? Do I need a whole new degree, for example, which are long-term, might take many years to do that? Or should I just certify myself for some training that might take half a year? So from there, I think it's more related to your goals. So instead of setting like a pressure to yourself that, okay, I have to leave this job, it's unrealistic, because, I mean, we just have to pay our life somehow. But rather kind of thinking that what needs to happen this year in order that I get moving forward, what needs to happen next half a year, this month, and then bring that to weekly goals or daily goals. So even if you are in some job right now that you're not happy with and you want to move on, kind of bringing these two aspects aside would be my advice. I think people are getting, so I want to also highlight, don't pressure yourself too much. So finding that balance.
It can be really stressful and job hunting. And so it looks like both of us are kind of, our way of figuring out is like we have done different things. Do you have some advice? Because I think for people who already have that goal or know where they are going, then it's easier for them to kind of like reverse logic and then like make the strategy. But what about for those people maybe just graduated or still kind of lost or like figuring out what they want to do? Do you think that it's good to just try different things, or how do they find it and build a strategy?
Yeah, well, if you don't have yet much experience, you can still think about what are the things that you have enjoyed doing during your studies, or what is it that you enjoy doing with your hobbies, and you can start making like a list of things on paper. So, for example, making one list of tasks that you have enjoyed doing in the past, another list of what you think that you are very good at, another list of asking your friends and anybody who knows you well that what you are good at, and then start combining or comparing these lists, and start, for example, circling on paper. Like if there is a theme that keeps on coming, then that can be a sign of something that might be interesting for you to explore. And then, of course, comes the other hand of that. So it's not only about what we want to do and what we are good at, but how we can also make money out of that. So if it's entrepreneurship, that's a different story. So of course, then you need to take into advice the profitability and is there demand for that and clients. But even if it's if you're thinking about what job could be, so thinking in what jobs or environments you could utilize those skills best, and start with wide open mind first, and then start narrowing down and checking the options that come, and then just learning also more from yourself.
Great. And so my last question, because we don't have much time, but like, okay, so now that I have my career strategy ready, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Is there some like, when is a good checkpoint? Like, how often should I revisit my plan and my strategy, and then evaluate and then adjust? You know, it's kind of like the startup thing, like being agile, and you kind of always go back and see, okay, where am I now, and do a checkpoint, a milestone. It's like, okay, I'm here, and do I need to make some adjustment here?
Yeah. Well, for keeping that big goal in your mind, why not have it in front of you all the time? So why not, once you have clarified the direction where you want to go, you can, for example, have it as your desktop background. So it will remind you every day and keep you motivated and focused on that direction. You can print it to your office wall or your desk, on top of your desk, or have it in your mobile. But I would keep it there, like as a motivator and as the big goal that you're going for, so that is present in your daily life. But then having regular checkups, like well, depends on what your work situation is. If you're actively going for it, then having that plan brought into weekly priorities and daily focuses is crucial. So you have a routine of how you get there. If you're already in a job and you're looking for a career change, then it's not maybe that urgent. If you're looking for improving your career, so maybe then revising it, I don't know, monthly basis or so. But the important thing is that if you're not happy with the situation that you're in, that you keep it present in your daily life even, so it can be motivating you to reach those steps.
All right, great, thanks a lot. It's really good advice and pretty clear steps. I'm now going to open the stage for questions. So if you have questions, click the emoji at your right hand side. If you're using desktop, you can do this, and then I will invite you on the stage. And if you don't have question or you're a little bit shy, we will join you in the table after the talk, and you can ask us privately. And if you're interested in the career coaching service, so Virpi, please tell us how can somebody get a career coaching service from the Shortcut?
Yes, so we have first of all the short flicks, the career clinic videos, and from all the past done workshops, which are great contents. Woo! And yeah, so those are at your free disposal. And then what we are currently, or how if you are unemployed and have been longer term, so for over 6 months unemployed, you have also possibility to get support from your TE office, so from the local unemployment office, with whom we are collaborating in the Työsib program. So Työsib is a program funded by the ministry, and they are supporting so that we can help and provide career coaching for especially long-term employed people to get back to reaching your job goals or starting own business. But yeah, so currently those are the two main ways to get help from us, and we are figuring out and trying to look for even more ways to help in the future.
Awesome. We have a question from the audience. Ellie, I'm going to invite you on the stage.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Ellie.
Thanks, Virpi, for your presentation. I was just wondering, you mentioned earlier that you've been taking risky steps in your career, and so would you see that taking risks is necessary for you to move on? And then also, how can you advise, like how do you get past the feeling of, or the fear of failure? So how can you kind of like motivate yourself or make yourself a little bit not be so afraid of taking risks or fearing failure? So have any advice on this?
Yes, my very good question. Fear of failure is one of the things that I've been struggling with during my life also. I can tell what has helped me there. But first about the risk. Risk is something that you have to really think, how is your personal situation? So nobody can guide you in that in a way. So you have to first think, like, do you have the financial buffer that you need in order to get risk? So if you are moving into from one job or leaving a job for something, I would always encourage to, so it's always easier to look for another job when you have already something, even if it's not directly related to that. It's also always better situation if you have built some safety network on, so that you have financial buffer there. So that those are the key things that you need to estimate if you are able to take a risk there. And if those are in place, so if you have secured at least a few months ahead of you, so that you have a plan that you can survive even if you wouldn't find a job right away, then go for it. But that's something that is very personal, and some of us tolerate risk better, some of us less. So that's something that I would consider to think, like, how much buffer can you have in order to keep on going? Did that answer question, or did you have more specific questions on the risk side?
No, thank you. That was very helpful. That was mainly that I was looking for. So yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's a difficult to estimate. So when I was taking my leaps of faith, I had I had been already working for a few years, so I had managed to get some savings, and I was confident. Well, it was 2006 when the labor market was also in better shape still, so there was not this big crisis moment. So all these kind of things are also might affect there, but I took that conscious risk of leaving the permanent job for fixed term, kind of taking into account these things. So financial security was okay, not like anything very fancy, but anyway, was okay. And then there was no crisis at that time, so companies were recruiting and growing. So all that needs to be taken account. And but then to the risk of or to the fear of failure, I think that's one of the biggest things that so many people are thinking, and the imposter syndrome, if you've heard about that. So in case maybe I'll mention just like imposter syndrome is that you are super talented, great experience, but yet you are not confident of yourself and you think that you're just going to fail. So many people think about these things and don't feel confident of themselves, and what if I fail, and what if I'm never going to find a job? I think it's something that we need to consciously be aware of. So if that's something that you are dealing with, one of the books that helped me best was, I'm going to write it to the chat. It's in Finnish, but it's also available in English. But one of the books that I have read, which is one of the best ones to help with the fear of failure, Tunne lukkosi. So it's like knowing your emotional locks, and that can be a very interesting book to read. I can look for the name in English also. But to how to overcome your fears is one of the ways that is guided there is that you identify first of all where it comes from. So this book can help to explore that. And once you know where it comes from, you can deal that emotion, and actually going right at it might help you to overcome that. And it has practical tips of how you can take that into account when you're making decisions or when you have those fear moments. So I'll look for the name in English and I'll share with the group. Are we able to share with the group afterwards, Vicky, also?
Yes, we can. Well, if they are all registered through Eventbrite, then we can share it via email. And well, I actually saw another question in the chat, but we are already running over time, so I'm gonna skip this in the public Q&A session, but feel free to stick around, and Virpi will join one of the table for some time after the talk, and you can go there and hunt her. And also feel free to well, thank you very much for the talk today, Virpi, and thank you everybody for joining with us in the breakfast talk. It's very nice to see you in the morning. We will keep the room open, so feel free to teleport yourself around the table and you can find Virpi in the other table if you have questions, and feel free to just talk with each other and connect with each other. And before we finish, can I get a big scene of everybody clapping, and I'll take a snapshot. So that would be really cool. So we can have like a round of applause for everybody getting up in the morning, and also for Virpi for this great talk. Awesome, great, thank you very much. I have a funny picture now. I'll share it with everybody on LinkedIn. Awesome. Well,
Thanks
thank
so
you,
much.
everybody. Thank you, Virpi. And we will keep the room open. So feel free to stick around. Have a great day.
Have a great day.